Hey everyone, I'm Mackenzie, the Spirits Manager here at Everything Wine & More in Sherwood Park, and welcome to another episode of Quintessential Cocktails. Today we're going to be looking at the dry martini. Now, a lot of cocktails nowadays get called a martini if they're served in a cocktail glass such as this. Now, really a martini is going to be gin or vodka, we'll let vodka slide, vermouth, bitters, and then a garnish, which is usually citrus or olives. In this case, we're going to go citrus. Now, the tools you'll need for this is a mixing glass, a bar spoon, a citrus peeler, a hawthorn or a julep strainer, and then ice. Now I've got my martini glass chilling with some ice and cold water because I don't have a freezer available, but usually I'd have my cocktail glass in the freezer, get it nice and cold. Okay, so as far as the ingredients go, gin is self-explanatory. We've talked a little bit about that before. I'm using Aviation just because it's a nice juniper forward gin, but it also has some nice cardamom and citrus notes. And then vermouth. Now, a lot of martini recipes, or at least martini recipes of the past, call for a vermouth wash of the glass, or just a drop of it, or even jokes about it, waving it over the cocktail glass, and that's a sufficient amount of vermouth. But you really shouldn't be scared of vermouth. It is a wine, so you're gonna wanna treat it like a wine. I've bought this half bottle, this 375 ml bottle, because I wanna keep my vermouth as fresh as possible. I'm also gonna keep it in the fridge. And when I get low enough in my bottle, I'm gonna transfer it to another smaller bottle just to reduce the amount of oxygen in there, keep my vermouth as fresh as possible for as long as possible. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, the ratios are really gonna depend on personal preference. I like a good amount of vermouth in mine, but I am a gin fanatic, so let's start off with 2 ounces of gin. And then we're gonna do a ½ ounce of vermouth. And then I'm just gonna do 1 dash of orange bitters. Now the bitters can overpower it, so I really am gonna do just almost more of a couple drops, not even a full dash. Okay. Now comes the question, shaken or stirred? Now, I'm gonna stir this one. In our Vesper video we did during the gin sale, we shook the Vesper, but let's stir this one. And it's really down to personal preference, whether you want it shaken or stirred. If you're shaking it, you are maybe gonna get it chilled a bit more, but you're also gonna dilute it more. So there's no chilling without dilution. If you really want an ice cold martini and you want to control the amount of dilution, my suggestion is pre-batching your martini with the correct amount of ratio of gin, vermouth, bitters, and then adding water as necessary and just putting that in the freezer and chilling it. Okay, so let's give this a stir for about 10 to 15 seconds. That should suffice. And now let's dump out our ice water. And let's strain into our chilled cocktail glass. Now, whether you want to garnish with an olive or a lemon, it's up to you here. We're gonna do lemon, just because I prefer citrus forward martinis. Now I'm also gonna peel it over the glass just to get any of those zests in the cocktail. And then I'm just gonna clean up the sides with a knife to make my garnish look pretty. Okay, let's express some of those oils over top of the cocktail. And I'm also going to, one of my favorite tricks is I'm gonna rub the citrus zest along the stem of the cocktail glass, so that every time you or your guest pick up your martini, you take a sip, you put it down, the citrus zest or the citrus oils are on your fingertips, and all you can think about is that delicious martini in front of you. Now, one of my favorite variations on the dry martini is swapping the gin for a good Blanco tequila, like a nice lowland, like Cascawin Blanco, and then switching up the orange bitters for some grapefruit bitters and doing a grapefruit zest. or some other classic martini-esque cocktails, of course, include the Manhattan, which is rye whiskey, sweet vermouth, Angostura bitters, or the Hanky Panky, which takes gin, swaps the dry vermouth for sweet vermouth, and swap the bitters for Fernet Branca, and usually does an orange twist. Anyways, let us know in the comments, what's your favorite dry martini recipe? What ratios do you prefer? Or what's your favorite martini-esque cocktail? Anyways, until next month, see you guys.